Chapter 13 Urban Patterns. Why do services cluster downtown? Downtown is generally referred to as the Central Business District or CBD. The CBD is very compact, less than 1% of the urban land area, but contains a large percentage of the public, business, and consumer services. It is the easiest part of the city to reach and the focal point of the region's transportation network. CBD is one of the oldest spots in the city, usually at or near the origin site of the development. Public services like City Hall, courts, county, and state agencies, and libraries are clustered downtown in the CBD for easy access to people living all over. Sports facilities and convention centers are expanded into CBDs to help businesses for downtown restaurants, bars, and hotels. People and businesses services such as advertising, banking, finance, journalism, and law particularly depend on proximity to professional colleagues, so they are clustered in CBDs for accessibility. Even with telecommunications, many professionals still exchange info primarily through face-to-face contact. A central location also helps businesses that employ workers from a variety of neighborhoods because it is readily accessible to all. In the past, 3 retail services clustered in a CBD because they required accessibility to all in the region: retailers with a high threshold, those with a high range, and those that serve people working in the CBD. Changing shopping habits and residential patterns have reduced the importance of retail services in the CBD. Retailers with high thresholds, department stores, traditionally preferred a CBD location for accessibility. Large department stores in the CBD would cluster near an intersection called the 100% corridor, and high-range retailers are often specialists, and they once preferred a CBD location because their customers were scattered. High rents and land shortage excluded 2 activities: industrial and residential. Many people used to live in or near the CBD, but in the 20th century, most residents abandoned downtown because of push and pull factors. They were pulled to the suburbs that offered larger homes and pushed from CBDs by high rents that businesses were willing to pay. However, in the 20th century, CBDs have begun to attract people without children because they are able to enjoy the aspects of downtown life. There is also competition for land in CBDs. The land values are very high because of the limited accessibility, and this pertains to the underground CBD and skyscrapers. Key issue 2. Where are people distributed within urban areas? There are 3 types of models of where people live in urban areas: the concentric zone model, the sector zone model, and the multiple nuclei model. Effective use of the 3 models depends on the availability of the data at the scale of individual neighborhoods. In the US and other countries, that data comes from the census. According to the concentric zone model, the newer home family is much more likely to live in an outer ring, and the older home family is more likely to live in an inner ring. According to the sector model, the family with the higher income will not live in the same sector of the city as the family with the lower income. According to the multiple nuclei model, people with the same ethnic or racial background are likely to live near each other. When these models are applied to places that are outside of North America, skyscrapers aren't as popularized. Places like Europe preserve their legacy of low-rise structures and narrow roads built in medieval times. Some cities do this by restricting high-rise buildings and care use. Key issue 3. Where does industry cause pollution?
Recently in the United States, cities grew and expanded by adding peripheral land. North American urban areas follow the Cheney-Harris peripheral model, which states that inner cities surrounded by large suburban residential and business areas are tied together by a beltway. Peripheral areas have the plus of not having severe physical, social, and economic problems of inner city neighborhoods. A city is a legal entity, an urban area is a continuously built-up area, and a metropolitan area is a functional area. These are the characteristics of a metropolitan statistical area. The 366 metropolitan areas and 576 micropolitan areas are known as core-based statistical areas. A megalopolis is large metropolitan areas so close together that they now form one continuous urban complex. Most metropolitan areas in the U.S. have a council of government. Annexation is the process of legally adding land area to a city. Density gradient is the density change in an urban area. U.S. suburbs are characterized by sprawl, or the progressive spread of development over the landscape. These are the two ways that modern residential suburbs are segregated. Before the 20th century, classes were separated vertically. During the 20th century, things were separated territorially. Non-residential suburban trends include consumer and business services moving. Edge cities are focused around vehicles, unlike many suburban areas. Key issue 4. Why do cities face challenges? Deteriorating houses cause property values to go down and lower-income families to move in. Redlining is drawing lines on a map to identify where loans are prohibited. Gentrification is the process where middle class move into deteriorated neighborhoods and renovate housing. Inner cities contain low-income residents who face social issues. Homelessness can come from family issues, mental illness, or job loss. African Americans and Hispanics usually cluster in inner cities, whereas whites cluster in suburbs. In gentrification-strong cities, ethnic patterns are being altered. In Chicago, white population is increasing in inner cities and decreasing in outer. Cities have two choices for closing the gap between cost of services and funding available for taxes. The 2008 recession severely impacted Americans in different ways. North American CBDs combined new retail services with leisure services.